Today we're building an Aetherpunk end city. So I've got an amazing idea for this build, and starting out, we need an outline. So if you don't know, Aetherpunk is basically a mixture of magic and technology. An example would be the show Arcane. So I built up one side of the ring and copied it over, which I'll do in this build a bit just to save time. Then I made the walls going up and around on both sides. I made the interior part of the ring. I know the rings may seem boring now, but we're gonna add detail going around. I moved the build over the void and started the details. I want this bright sort of technological and magical design with these sectioned lines here going around. I made the design go all the way up and copied it to the other side. I went to the outer edge and made similar but larger designs. On the side part here, I had the idea of making a sort of wing part. I don't really know what this would be for, I just thought it'd be cool. I stretched the designs down and moved to the top where I made a smaller wing part. There weren't any design differences, however, though I did make these holes so the wings weren't just flat. So I was going to do 2 sets of rings and have them across in the middle, but I've had a better idea. We also need to add some magic parts around the place. On the top, I made this spike in the middle and built this part up with some dirt to figure out the shape of the gold part. I went down and made magic rings around the spike. I thought this looked pretty cool. I made them out of wool first, then replaced with glass. Here, I made the part where the beam would come out of. I made a similar gold design around it with circles and all that. I used frog lights to light it up, and then I copied it up at the top. On the bottom sides here, I got the area ready for the spikes I'm gonna put. I copied part of the regular ring and extended this out, getting the shape. Then I decided that it would look better if it got skinnier at the end like an actual spike. It was a bit tricky to get the shape right, but I got it and filled in the walls and made sure to add lights and details. Once I finished this side, I copied it over. I touched things up and started on the design for the top. I made a gold line and added lights inset. I made a spot for a magic bit to come out here and added some more lights and purple details. I was a bit confused at first on how to approach this part. Going back to magic, I made this diagonal ring, which was a real pain, and I kept messing it up. But I got it and added the purple on the outside and fixed it all up using worldedit. I made all the wool into glass and added light blocks to make it bright. Then I copied it. With the beam, I started by building the middle going all the way down. In the middle, I made this ring where the beam coming from the top and bottom would meet. Like the others, I made it from wool and replaced it with glass and put light blocks. So now, we gotta add the buildings around the inside of the ring, and I'm interested in how this is gonna go. Starting at the top, I made this round upside down building with round roofs. They're made out of endstone and purple to resemble the buildings in the original end city. I went through and added some detail on the bottom, then did this interior and finished up. I moved over to the corner here to make this diagonal building. This was the first time I've ever made a diagonal building like this, and I'm extremely glad with how it turned out, inside and outside. The interiors of these are the hardest part. Since there's not much else to explain to you as far as the rest of the house goes, I'll explain the lore for this build. And it's really interesting, because it connects to another build in this series. The people who escaped to the end back in the Modern Stronghold video survived here for a while. They discovered magic and was able to harness it using technology. These people integrated it into their lives. They made many builds including these massive floating cities. They are used as massive trading hubs and living spaces. They use magic to power them and move them around and fly. The design is based around the low to zero gravity in the end dimension. These people had all of these organized into a kingdom, the Kingdom of Iridion. It was the largest of all of the Ender Kingdoms, and the main central hub for trade for all of them. In the future, I'd love to explore this kingdom and build more things based on this in the future. Definitely something I plan on returning to. What do you guys think? Maybe I could build the capital for this kingdom, like a castle and a whole city. Down here, I added some more details to stop it from being so boring and flat. The main thing is I made this ring which would help magic sort of be transferred around like a pipe. I also built it on the other side. Then I went up and copied the deck over to the other side, along with mixing and matching the buildings on this side. I had some troubles copying it over, but I eventually got it. So now, I know the lore is usually at the end of the video, but not this time. Now, we gotta make the inside of the rings. So, as you can see, the interior is very ugly here. There needs to be a way for the people to get around to other buildings. So, I made this tunnel and made purple loops going around it with end rods. I did the same thing up top as you can see, and there really isn't much difference to the bottom. The only one being that you could walk along the inside of the top and the outside on the bottom. On the other side, it was basically the same, and I'm showing you this on a different angle. Again, there's not a notable difference between this side and the other. I was originally going to have the interior be rooms with halls between, but I had this idea and it looks so much better. Here, we're gonna start on the last part of the build, the version of the end ship for this. I started at the edge of the dock here, and I got the outline figured out. I know it's an odd shape, but I really thought the design should be really unique for this. Shaping out the bottom was pretty difficult, but I just kinda went with what I could, and it worked out. I worked on the top part, which I made out of endstone, and had it sloped up. I made a windshield on the front, and on top I made these rings, which I just thought were a cool design. I put windows and moved to the interior, which I was a bit confused on, but it turned out okay. I lit up the thruster on the back and put a magic ring and lit up the bottom, adding purple accents. Lastly, I copied the ship around to the other docks and was done. Holy shit, guys. This build, it's definitely my favorite in a long time. I wanted to make something truly special for you guys for last video being late and being so lackluster. So I hope you guys liked it as much as I do. If you did enjoy, please leave a big fat thumbs up as it would be greatly appreciated, and maybe even subscribe as it helps my channel out a ton. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Have a good day, everyone. Bye-bye.